Brethren, if we were to remember the words of the holy elders and continually be instructed by them, we would not fall into sin so easily, nor would we so easily give ourselves over to negligence. If, as they said, we did not neglect the small things, those that seem insignificant to us, we would not fall into great and grievous ones either. I always tell you that from the things which seem easy and from saying, "What does this or that matter?" there develops in the soul an evil habit, through which even great matters are ultimately disregarded. Do you know how grave a sin it is to judge one's neighbor? What sin is heavier than this? What is so abominable to God and so greatly repels Him? As the fathers have said, there is nothing worse than judging. It is precisely from what seems like a small matter that such great evil arises. Because one allows himself a little suspicion toward his neighbor, because he says, "What harm is there if I listen to what that brother is saying? What if I say this word too? What if I look at what that brother or stranger is doing?" The mind begins to neglect its own sins and to concern itself with the sins of others. From this comes judging, slander, and contempt. Finally, one falls precisely into the same sins he was judging in others. For, as the fathers said, when a man does not care for his own evil and does not mourn his own dead man, that is, his soul darkened by sin, he cannot come to true correction, but is always occupied with the deeds of his neighbor. Nothing so provokes God's anger, strips man so bare of divine grace, or brings about divine abandonment as much as gossip, judging, and despising one's neighbor. For slander, judgment, and contempt are three different things. Slander is when someone says about another, "He lied," or "He became angry," or "He fell into fornication," or something similar. Such a person slanders his brother or speaks with partiality about his brother's sin. To judge means to say, "Such and such a person is a liar, quick-tempered, or a fornicator." The one who speaks this way sets himself up as the judge of the very disposition of that person's soul. He has passed sentence on the entirety of that person's life, declaring him to be such and condemning him as such. This is a grave matter. For it is one thing to say, "He became angry," and quite another to say, "He is an angry person." In the latter, as I have said, one is rendering judgment on his whole life. Judging others is so much more serious than any sin that the Lord Himself said, "Hypocrite, first remove the beam from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." The Lord compares the sin of one's neighbor to a speck, but judging to a beam, showing how much more grievous judging is than any sin. Even the Pharisee who prayed and thanked God for his virtues did not lie. He spoke the truth, and for this he was not condemned. We are indeed obliged to thank God when we are found worthy to do anything good, since it is He who has helped us and worked with us in it. He was not condemned for saying, "I am not like other men," but because he turned toward the publican and said, "Or like this tax collector." He subjected himself to judgment because he judged the person himself, the very disposition of his soul, in short, his whole life. For this reason, the publican went home justified, and not the other.